Today, we unlock a sacred door, a door Florence Scovel Shinn called the secret door to success. But in this moment, it is also the door to limitless wealth. I now align my vibration with the highest frequency of divine abundance. Not of struggle, not of fear, but of effortless flow. Say it with me: wealth is not something you chase, it is something you become. It is not something that is given to you from the outside world, it is something that is drawn to you from within. Florence Scovel Shinn, a metaphysical pioneer, understood this truth deeply. She taught that the game of life is not played through physical striving, but through spiritual alignment. This is especially true when it comes to wealth, the outer world, filled with numbers, contracts, bank accounts, and competition, may seem like the realm of money. But the true origin of wealth is always vibrational, rooted in your thoughts, emotions, words, and energetic presence. In this divine frequency of wealth, we stop treating money as something distant or elusive. Instead, we begin to treat it as a mirror. Money is not loyal to the hardworking alone, nor is it devoted to those who are desperate for it. It is loyal to vibration, to belief, to expectation. And when we speak, think, and feel as if we are already wealthy, not in arrogance, but in alignment, we begin to experience the spiritual law Florence described. What is mine by divine right is now released and reaches me in perfect ways. The first hour of the 3-hour divine wealth frequency experience is not about taking action in the outer world. It is about cleansing your inner world of all misconceptions. The frequency of wealth cannot coexist with the energy of fear. It cannot flow freely into a heart that is filled with guilt, shame, or lack. That is why the transformation must begin with awareness. You must become aware of what you are truly broadcasting into the universe. Every thought is a request. Every belief is a vibration. Every word is a decree. Florence Scovel Shinn often said, "Your word is your wand." She meant that the words you speak have creative power. When you say, "I never have enough money," you are unknowingly commanding the universe to keep you in lack. When you say, "Money flows to me freely and endlessly," even if your physical reality hasn't caught up yet, you are shifting your energy toward divine abundance. That is why the first part of this 3-hour wealth journey includes affirmations, spoken aloud, repeated gently and with intention. I am one with the wealth of the universe. I do not chase money. I attract it by divine law. I am rich in consciousness, and my reality reflects that truth. These statements are not meant to convince the outer world. They are meant to recode the inner world. Because wealth is not about trying harder, it's about tuning in. Just like a radio, you don't need to build a new station. You simply need to turn the dial to the frequency that already exists. The frequency of wealth is already available, right now, in this moment. But you can only access it if you are tuned to it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. One of the greatest illusions about money is that it must be pursued, hunted, or earned through suffering. That belief creates a frequency of struggle, and what you believe, you attract. But Florence taught that the law of prosperity responds to faith, not force. The reason you begin with frequency, rather than action, is because without aligned energy, your action is simply noise. You may work 10 hours a day, but if you are vibrating with fear, doubt, and self-lack, you'll repel the very blessings you're striving for. On the other hand, when you are deeply rooted in the truth that you are already connected to the infinite supply, you will begin to notice miracles, unexpected income, divine ideas, synchronicities, doors opening with ease, not because you hustled, but because you aligned. This is why the first part of the divine wealth frequency experience is so gentle, meditative, and inner-focused. It helps you return to truth. The truth is, you are already supported. You are already chosen. You are already plugged into the source of all things. But your human mind often forgets this. So these 3 hours are not a ritual for getting something. They are a ritual for remembering. The wealth you desire is not a reward for perfection. It is a response to permission. You don't need to prove yourself worthy. You simply need to agree with the truth that divine abundance is your natural state. You came from abundance. You were born into an abundant universe. Every leaf, every star, every grain of sand speaks of overflow. Nothing in nature is created to just barely survive, and you, being a divine creation, are not meant to either. The mind may resist this truth. It may bring up old programming. I've never had money. I don't come from wealth. It's hard to succeed where I live. But this speech and this frequency are not about what has been. They are about what is possible when you speak from power, not pain. You may have been poor. You may have struggled. But now, in this space of divine alignment, you declare a new reality. You say, I am done chasing money. I now allow it to flow to me by divine right. As you stay in this frequency, your body will relax. Your nervous system will calm. You will stop gripping and start receiving. You will feel more like yourself, not the version shaped by fear, but the version guided by faith. And when that shift happens, even if the outer world hasn't changed yet, the inner world will be anchored in wealth. And from that inner anchoring, all outer changes begin. The first keynote of this divine wealth frequency experience is the foundation of everything that follows. It teaches you to stop chasing and start vibrating. It reminds you that wealth is a frequency you can tune into, not a prize you must struggle for. It asks you to realign with your original truth that you are already abundant, already chosen, and already enough. From this point of alignment, the rest of your journey unfolds not with effort, but with grace. Divine supply is not only real, it is personal. It is not reserved for the chosen few, nor does it flow exclusively to those born into wealth or luck. The universe is infinitely abundant, and what you are meant to receive will come to you by divine right, without struggle, competition, or compromise. This is one of the most liberating truths in Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings. She explained that wealth is not something we steal or earn through force. It is something we allow through alignment. The supply you desire already exists. It has been prepared for you since the beginning. But to receive it, you must come into harmony with it through belief, surrender, and faith. There is a law in the spiritual realm, a law of divine compensation, that says what is yours cannot be kept from you. It may be delayed by doubt or diverted by fear, but it cannot be destroyed. The stream of wealth with your name on it is flowing now. It has never stopped. But many people unknowingly block it with thoughts like, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this. Or, money doesn't come easily to people like me. These thoughts act like spiritual dams, keeping abundance from reaching the shores of your life. Florence often taught that the only thing that truly blocks supply is the belief that we are separate from it. But in truth, you are never separate from divine supply. You are a part of the system. You are not a beggar asking for crumbs. You are a child of the infinite, heir to a kingdom of limitless good. You do not need to figure out the how. That's not your job. Your job is to know the truth and stay in faith. The how belongs to infinite intelligence. Divine mind already knows the best way to deliver what is meant for you. When you constantly ask, how will the money come? Or, where will the opportunity come from? You are stepping out of trust and into fear. Instead, declare, Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let every channel of good be opened, and every obstacle be dissolved. This affirmation, spoken with faith, activates a powerful unseen current. It prepares people, places, and circumstances to rise up in your favor. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but behind the scenes, everything begins to shift. The problem most people face is that they give up just before the breakthrough arrives. They let go of the truth and return to worry, which reactivates the block. Florence said it clearly. The subconscious has no sense of humor and doesn't take a joke. It takes you at your word. If you speak wealth one moment and speak worry the next, you are sending mixed signals to the universe. Your results will mirror your confusion. But if you stay consistent, if you hold fast to the truth that supply is unlimited and personal, you will witness real world changes. There is no shortage in divine mind. There is only expansion. There is no competition on the spiritual plane, because what is yours cannot be taken, and what belongs to someone else cannot be yours. This is why Florence emphasized the importance of blessing others' success. If you see someone else rise, rejoice, knowing that the same current flows to you. There is more than enough. The more you affirm this, the more you experience it. You shift from survival mode into a divine flow. You stop grasping and begin receiving. You stop comparing and start celebrating. That is wealth consciousness. Too many people have been taught to hustle, grind, and work themselves to exhaustion to earn even small rewards. But the universe does not reward burnout. It responds to belief, vibration, and inner certainty. You can work less and receive more if your frequency is aligned with abundance. You can speak one sentence with power, and it can open more doors than a year of effort ever could. That is the difference between material striving and spiritual knowing. When you know that your supply is divine, you stop seeking from man and start trusting God. You stop begging and start claiming. You stop worrying and start receiving. This is why, in the second hour of the Divine Wealth Frequency Experience, we deepen this understanding. We speak not just about having money, but about being supplied from the source of all creation. You do not need to manipulate life. You do not need to force results. Your only task is to come into harmony with what is already yours. As Florence wrote, "No man is your friend. No man is your enemy. Every man is your teacher." This means that every experience, whether rich or lean, is showing you what you believe. If you believe in lack, you will live in lack. If you believe in divine supply, you will live in overflow. The truth is that you are more powerful than you've been told. You are not here to suffer and struggle. You are here to experience the fullness of life, peace, beauty, wealth, love, and freedom. And all of it begins with your belief in divine supply. When you wake up in the morning, say, "I am connected to an unlimited source of good. Today I receive miracles." When you feel doubt rise up, say, "I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free." When you pay a bill, say, "Every dollar I spend comes back to me multiplied under grace." These aren't just nice sayings. These are spiritual declarations that shift your vibration, your faith, and your reality. Divine supply is not only real, it is always available, and it is uniquely yours. The universe does not make duplicates. Your path, your provision, and your prosperity have been perfectly tailored to your soul. You do not need to take what belongs to someone else, and no one can take what is already assigned to you. When you stop seeing money as a limited resource and start seeing it as a divine current flowing personally toward you, everything changes. You stop grasping and start glowing. You become magnetic. You become peaceful. And you realize what I've been seeking was already seeking me. Florence Scovel Shinn's simple statement, "Your word is your wand," carries within it a truth so deep, so spiritually precise, that it continues to echo through generations. Words are not just sounds or symbols. They are vibrational tools of creation. The moment you speak, you send a command into the unseen, and that command begins to shape your world. What you say about money, about life, about your own worth, is not just talk, it's law. It is a decree written in energy, and what you decree, the universe fulfills. That is why wealth must begin with speech. Before money shows up in your bank account, it must exist in your vocabulary. Before abundance fills your home, it must fill your mind and your mouth. Most people don't realize the true weight of their words. They speak lack casually and wonder why their lives never rise above limitation. They say things like, "I can't afford that," Money doesn't come easily. I'm always behind. Things never work out for me. And each time they do, they cast a spell, not on the world, but on themselves. The subconscious mind, as Florence reminded us, cannot take a joke. It accepts every word as instruction and sets out to prove it. If you continually affirm scarcity, your reality will mirror it. But if you begin to speak wealth, even in the absence of physical evidence, you begin to build a new frequency. You train your energy to expect abundance. You instruct the subconscious to seek and manifest prosperity. When you affirm, "Money flows to me from expected and unexpected sources," you are not just imagining, you are authorizing a new story. You are turning your words into a spiritual magnet. The more you speak with clarity, authority, and expectation, the more the unseen responds with opportunities, people, ideas, and resources that match your inner command. That is the essence of divine wealth creation. Not struggle, not hustle, but spoken alignment with the truth that abundance is already yours. Affirmations are more than feel-good phrases. They are power tools of consciousness. Florence advised her students to repeat statements like, "I am surrounded by the divine substance of wealth. My supply is endless and immediate. And every plan my Father in heaven has not planned is dissolved and dissipated. And the divine design now comes to pass." These are not passive affirmations. They are declarations of truth, spoken from a place of spiritual authority. The more you repeat them, the more your energy begins to match the frequency of divine supply. But it is not just about speaking these words occasionally. It is about speaking them consistently, especially when your circumstances suggest the opposite. That is the real test of faith. It's easy to affirm abundance when the money is already in your hands. But what do you say when you're behind on rent, when the bank account is low, when the business deal falls through? What do you speak then? That is where the true power lies. If, in those moments, you continue to say, "All things are working together for my good. I walk in divine prosperity. There is no loss in divine mind," then you are wielding your word as a wand, cutting through fear, doubt, and illusion. Every declaration is an energetic seed. Some take time to sprout, but every single one is growing in the unseen. That's why it's so important to stay faithful to the practice of speaking abundance. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean the words aren't working. Energy always precedes matter. Your spoken word is always creating structure in the invisible realm, preparing the path ahead, setting in motion blessings you cannot yet see. The words you speak also influence how others respond to you. People sense energy. When you speak from certainty, they feel it. Opportunities are drawn to confidence. Clients respond to calm authority. Money moves toward those who speak with expectancy, not desperation. That's why your affirmations should never be whispered in fear. They should be spoken aloud with power, with rhythm, with conviction. It doesn't matter if you're speaking to an empty room. You are commanding the invisible forces of life to respond. And they always do. You can begin this process at any moment. You don't need to have money in the bank. You don't need to feel rich. You just need to speak as if wealth is already yours, because spiritually it is. You are not lying. You are aligning. You are not pretending. You are declaring the truth from a higher plane. Florence taught that divine supply was always present, but our words and beliefs had to rise to meet it. So every affirmation is like climbing a step upward into the frequency where your blessings already exist. The repetition of wealth-based affirmations over the course of 3 hours in this speech experience is not accidental. Repetition creates rhythm. Rhythm becomes reality. As you immerse yourself in words of divine abundance, spoken slowly, spoken often, spoken intentionally, you begin to rewire your inner world. Negative programming begins to dissolve, scarcity thoughts lose their grip, and a new language of prosperity is born within you. That language soon becomes a new way of thinking, feeling, acting, and receiving. Words are energy. They shape your mood, your focus, your magnetism. When you wake up in the morning and say, "Today I expect miracles," you shift your day. When you look at a bill and say, "Every dollar I spend returns to me multiplied," you shift your frequency. When you experience delay and say, "Divine timing is always perfect," you release fear and allow faith to guide you. These are not just affirmations. They are energetic recalibrations. You are rewriting your vibration with every sentence. You are planting the code for wealth to follow. Your words are not small. They are not meaningless. They are not powerless. They are the primary tool of creation in your life. Florence Scovel Shinn taught us that the spoken word carries divine authority. It is the first act of manifestation. Before wealth appears in the physical, it must first be called into being by the voice. That is why, during this divine wealth frequency experience, we speak as if it is already done. We speak from the mountaintop, not the valley. We speak as if we have already received, and in doing so, we open the doors for supply to pour in. Wealth is not just attracted by thought, it is summoned by the spoken word. And once you understand this, you will never speak lack over your life again. Faith is not a soft idea. It is not merely hope or wishful thinking. Faith is the activator of spiritual law, and when it comes to wealth and prosperity, nothing replaces it. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that faith is a spiritual substance, a power, a force, an energy. Without faith, your affirmations are hollow. Without faith, your words fall flat. But with faith, true, deep, unwavering faith, you create miracles. Faith is what makes the invisible real. It is what transforms spoken affirmations into material abundance. It is the bridge between spiritual truth and physical manifestation. Many people claim they believe in abundance, but the moment their external world contradicts it, they crumble. That isn't faith, that is convenience. True faith is unmoved by appearances. True faith sees lack and still speaks abundance. It looks at an empty bank account and says, "This is temporary. My divine supply is limitless." It faces delay and declares, "This is not a denial. This is preparation." Faith is not ignoring reality. It is choosing a higher reality. It is choosing to believe that divine law is always in effect, even when human logic can't see it. Florence made it very clear. Fear is the great blocker of supply. The moment you fall into fear, you interrupt the flow of divine wealth. Fear constricts. Faith expands. Fear says, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith says, "It's already working." Fear asks, "How will I make it through?" Faith declares, "All things are working together for my good." Fear is noisy. Faith is still and powerful. And that stillness is what allows divine guidance to come through. You cannot serve two masters. You either believe in fear or you believe in faith, and whichever one you trust becomes your experience. That is how the law of prosperity works. Your external world is always a mirror of your internal certainty. If you are rooted in anxiety, the world around you will reflect chaos. But if you are grounded in faith, you will see order, opportunity, and increase, even in the most unlikely moments. In this wealth frequency activation, faith is not just talked about, it is practiced, repeatedly. You are reminded through affirmations and meditations that faith is a choice, not a feeling. You may not always feel confident, you may not always feel abundant, but you can still speak from faith, you can still act in faith. You can still move forward even when doubt whispers, and that decision alone, to trust the unseen over the seen, is what aligns you with divine wealth. Florence Scovel Shinn often said that faith without works is dead, but works doesn't always mean outer effort. It can mean mental and emotional alignment. It means acting as though what you desire is already yours. It means giving thanks before the manifestation. It means paying your bills with joy, not fear. It means treating money with respect, knowing that more is always coming. It means blessing others who have what you want, not envying them. It means walking like someone who knows they are connected to divine supply, regardless of current conditions. One of the most powerful aspects of faith is that it creates magnetic expectation. When you truly expect something, you draw it toward you, not with force, but with certainty. Florence used the phrase divine right timing often. She knew that the universe does not move according to human urgency, but according to spiritual perfection. Faith allows you to rest in that perfection. It gives you the patience to wait, the confidence to believe, and the peace to let go. So many people destroy their own blessings by giving up too soon. They affirm for a few days, maybe even a week, and then because they don't see results, they begin to speak fear again. They pull the seed out of the soil before it has had time to grow. But spiritual law is not instant. It is inevitable. When you speak from faith and keep speaking, the result must appear. The timeline is not your responsibility. Your only job is to remain in alignment, to hold the vision, speak the word, and refuse to be shaken by delay. This practice is what Florence called casting the burden. When fear arises, you do not entertain it, you cast it. You say, I cast this burden of doubt on the Christ within, and I go free. This isn't denial. It's redirection. You are handing the fear over to a higher power and choosing to walk in peace. That very act deepens your faith. Every time you release worry and replace it with spiritual truth, you grow stronger in your ability to receive. Faith is also contagious. When you walk in faith, others feel it. They trust you, they believe in you, they want to work with you, support you, bless you. Divine opportunities are drawn to those who carry the calm confidence of someone who knows that the universe is on their side. Faith becomes your aura, it becomes your atmosphere, it becomes your personal frequency, and wealth responds to it. This is why the divine wealth frequency experience is not just about saying affirmations. It is about shifting your foundation. It is about building an unshakable trust that divine supply is already yours. It is about reprogramming the mind to expect abundance instead of fearing lack. When you sit in this frequency for hours, repeating, meditating, and absorbing the truth of divine wealth, something shifts at your core. You no longer hope for blessings. You know they're on their way. You no longer question the process. You trust it. You no longer chase money. You attract it. Faith is not optional in the creation of wealth. It is essential. Without it, even the most powerful affirmations are empty. With it, even a whisper can move mountains. Florence Scovel Shinn's entire philosophy rests on the truth that what you expect in faith, you will receive in form. When you choose faith over fear, trust over control, and peace over panic, you unlock the full force of divine supply. You become a magnet for miracles. You walk in confidence, speak with authority, and receive with ease. Faith is not weakness. It is your greatest wealth. And once you are rooted in it, the entire universe conspires to prosper you. Divine wealth is never withheld. It is always on its way. But the pace at which it arrives is determined by your readiness to receive, not the universe's ability to give. This truth is at the heart of Florence Scovel Shinn's teachings. The timing of manifestation is not punishment, nor is it random. It is always perfectly aligned with the level of consciousness you're holding. Divine supply is endless, but if your inner container is not ready, it won't stay. This is why many people attract temporary success, sudden windfalls, or unexpected opportunities, only to lose them quickly. It's not because the blessing wasn't real. It's because their inner world wasn't yet stable enough to hold what was given. To fully receive divine wealth, you must not only speak abundance, you must become the person who can live in it with grace. The frequency of wealth cannot stay where fear still rules, where guilt still lingers, or where unworthiness is still in control. That's why spiritual preparation matters. Divine timing isn't a delay tactic, it's a process of purification, alignment, and growth. It is preparing you, mentally, emotionally, energetically, to not just attract wealth, but to sustain it with wisdom and peace. Florence often spoke about spiritual laws working with mathematical precision. She understood that the universe never fails to deliver. It simply waits until the conditions are right. And those conditions are internal, not external. That means your greatest responsibility is not chasing money or forcing outcomes. It's expanding your inner container, your beliefs, your emotions, your nervous system, to hold what you're asking for. The wealth you're praying for will arrive the moment you're ready to receive without resistance. People often misunderstand delay as denial, but Florence taught us that delay is actually mercy. It's divine intelligence giving you time to prepare, to elevate, to heal, to transform. You may not see it, but you are being shaped behind the scenes. The pause is not punishment. It's protection. It's calibration. It's the grace of the universe, making sure that when you do receive, you will rise with the blessing, not collapse under its weight. And this readiness isn't only about being mentally positive, it includes your subconscious programming. You may affirm abundance with your words, but if deep down you believe that wealth makes people greedy, or that money will corrupt your spirit, or that you're not good enough to hold success, those hidden scripts will block your flow. This is why inner work is so essential. In the divine wealth frequency journey, the vibrations are intentionally layered to rewire those deep patterns. You are not just affirming wealth. You are training your entire being to accept it, welcome it, and manage it with love. Readiness also requires structure. Florence understood that spiritual law works through channels. If you want to receive more, you must be willing to create room, clear clutter, finish unfinished tasks, bring order to your finances. The universe responds to structure. It won't pour wealth into chaos. This doesn't mean you must be perfect or rigid. It means you must be open, organized, and intentional. You must show the universe that you are ready, not only to receive but to steward what arrives. It's also important to realize that divine timing doesn't always move on your schedule, but it always moves for your highest good. Sometimes the thing you think you want is too small. You may be affirming for a quick financial gain, but the universe is preparing a bigger breakthrough, one that requires deeper growth, more trust, and higher awareness. If you received what you're asking for now, it might distract you from your purpose. So divine timing protects the integrity of your path. It ensures that what comes is not only what you want, but what will truly serve you. During this 3-hour experience, the purpose is not to rush the process, but to synchronize with it. You are not trying to speed up the divine. You are slowing yourself down, tuning into the truth that everything you desire is already yours and is on its way in perfect rhythm. You are learning to trust, not just the outcome, but the timing of that outcome. And that trust becomes your peace. It becomes your power. It becomes the signal to the universe that you are finally ready. When you are truly ready, you don't feel desperation. You feel calm expectation. You no longer grasp, you allow. You no longer hustle, you align. You don't wonder if it's coming. You know it's already en route. That knowing is magnetic. It transforms your energy field. It draws people to you. It opens doors. It causes delays to dissolve. And it shifts your very identity from someone waiting for a miracle to someone who embodies the miracle. That is what Florence meant when she said, "There is no loss in divine mind." If something doesn't arrive when you expect it, it's not lost. It's held for you until the conditions are right. Divine mind doesn't forget. It doesn't overlook. It doesn't withhold. It simply waits for your energy to rise to the level of what you've been asking for. And when it does, what is yours will not pass you by. It will find you swiftly, gracefully, abundantly. Divine timing is not a barrier to your wealth. It is the gateway. It is not an obstacle to your success. It is the mechanism by which true success is delivered. You are never being punished by delays. You are being prepared. Every prayer, every affirmation, every act of trust expands your capacity to receive. You are being stretched so that when the blessing comes, it stays. So that when wealth arrives, it thrives in your hands. Don't fear the timing. Honor it. Don't resist the process. Surrender to it. Because when you are fully ready, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, the doors will open, and the abundance that was always meant for you will pour in faster, fuller, and more beautifully than you ever imagined. Gratitude is the most magnetic force in the universe. It is not just a moral virtue, it is a spiritual activator, a frequency that attracts multiplied blessings. Florence Scovel Shinn understood this deeply. She taught that gratitude is more than polite thankfulness, it is a demonstration of faith. When you are grateful, not just for what you have but also for what is on the way, you are sending a message to the universe that says, I believe in abundance. I trust in divine supply. I know I am supported. That kind of gratitude reshapes your world from the inside out. Many people wait to feel grateful until something good happens. They reserve appreciation for outcomes that meet their expectations. But that mindset is rooted in conditional thinking. True gratitude, the kind that Florence taught and practiced, is not conditional. It is creative. It's the conscious act of recognizing that everything already contains the seed of a blessing, even when appearances suggest otherwise. When you give thanks before the harvest, you show the universe that you are ready for more. You declare, energetically and spiritually, that you are a willing and receptive vessel for overflow. Gratitude is also the antidote to fear. It dissolves anxiety because it shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. When you focus on what you already have and appreciate it sincerely, your vibration rises. You begin to see the world through a lens of sufficiency rather than lack. You stop trying to get and start allowing yourself to receive. You stop fighting against life and start cooperating with it. This inner shift makes all the difference in the realm of wealth creation. Prosperity flows to those who are at peace, not those who are panicked. Florence emphasized that the law of increase responds to appreciation. When you bless what you have, even if it's small, it multiplies. If you resent your current financial situation, you are rejecting the seed of wealth the universe has already planted in your life. But if you bless it, if you say, thank you for this small amount, I know it will grow, you create space for expansion. The spiritual principle is clear: what you appreciate, appreciates. Every dollar you receive and bless sends a signal to the universe that you are ready for more. It's important to understand that gratitude must be intentional. It is not passive. It is a practice, a habit of the heart. That's why the divine wealth frequency journey is laced with repeated moments of spoken gratitude. These aren't filler phrases. They are frequency alignments. When you speak out loud, thank you for the wealth that is already mine, you begin to feel as if the wealth is already present. That feeling is the key. Feeling is the fuel of manifestation. If you can feel abundant in this moment, you begin to draw abundance toward you in the physical world. Many people underestimate the power of their emotional states. They may affirm wealth in the morning, but spend the rest of the day complaining, worrying, or comparing themselves to others. That emotional turbulence pushes away prosperity. But a person rooted in gratitude is stable, open, and magnetic. They are not easily shaken. They carry an inner glow that draws support, kindness, opportunities, and yes, money. Gratitude makes you beautiful. It makes you radiant. It softens your energy so that good things can find their way to you. Another overlooked truth about gratitude is that it clears space. When you are thankful for what you have, you are no longer clinging to what isn't here yet. You let go of desperate energy. You stop forcing things to happen. You stop doubting divine timing. That release creates room for grace to enter. The universe cannot fill a space that is crowded with fear, frustration, or entitlement. But a heart that is thankful is like an open field, ready for planting, ready for harvest. Florence also taught that gratitude should be forward-facing. Don't just thank the universe for what is behind you. Thank it for what is ahead. When you say, "Thank you for the money that is coming," or "Thank you for the perfect opportunity already on its way," you are stepping into the energy of expectation. And what you expect in faith, you invite into form. That forward-looking gratitude becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not about pretending, it's about aligning with the truth that supply is always flowing, even if you can't see it yet. The more you practice gratitude, the more sensitive you become to the gifts that surround you. You begin to notice small miracles, an encouraging word, a new idea, an unexpected refund, a chance encounter, a sudden clarity. These signs build your faith. They prove that you are in flow. And the more you recognize them, the more they come. Gratitude opens your eyes to what is working. And once you focus on what's working, it expands. This is not wishful thinking. It is spiritual law, and even when things don't go your way, gratitude can transform the experience. Florence advised her readers to say, "This situation is divinely handled. I give thanks for the perfect outcome." In doing so, you hand the situation over to infinite intelligence. You stop fighting life and start partnering with it. That surrender creates peace. And in peace, solutions appear. In peace, money arrives. In peace, divine ideas are born. Gratitude is not just a spiritual nicety, it is the foundation of wealth consciousness. It is a force that multiplies what you have, magnetizes what you desire, and stabilizes your emotions so you can receive more. Florence Scovel Shinn knew that money alone could never bring true wealth. Real wealth begins with a grateful heart. A heart that says, "I am blessed," even before the blessing arrives. A heart that says, "I trust the process," even when the path is unclear. A heart that says, "Thank you," as a declaration of faith. When gratitude becomes your default state, prosperity becomes your natural result. You are no longer waiting for wealth. You are walking in it, moment by moment, word by word, breath by breath. The words you speak are not idle sounds, they are commands to the universe. Florence Scovel Shinn boldly declared, "Your word is your wand." And within that statement lies one of the most potent spiritual truths about wealth, creation, and divine alignment. The way you speak about money, success, and yourself is not just reflective of your beliefs. It is a force that shapes your reality. Every sentence you utter vibrates with energy. That vibration is creative. It goes forth and begins to structure your world in either harmony or conflict, depending on its frequency. Most people speak unconsciously. They speak from fear, from lack, from habit. They repeat phrases like, "I can't afford that," "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Nothing ever works out for me," or "I'm always broke." These may sound casual or humorous, but spiritually, they are powerful declarations. Florence taught that such words are spells, and not the kind you want to cast. When you speak words of limitation, the universe has no choice but to reflect those limitations back to you. Spiritual law is impersonal and precise. It does not hear your intentions. It responds to your energy and your words. The path to divine wealth begins with a shift in speech. It begins when you take full responsibility for every word that comes out of your mouth, knowing it carries power. Positive affirmations are not just trendy phrases. They are spiritual weapons. They carve out new energetic grooves in your consciousness. They plant seeds in the subconscious mind. They reverse old beliefs and establish new truths. When you say, "I am a magnet for wealth," you are not just fantasizing. You are aligning your inner world with divine supply. And the more often you speak these truths, the deeper they go, until they become your default belief system. But words must be spoken with feeling. Florence emphasized this again and again. You must feel the power behind the word. Emotion is what activates the spiritual law. Simply repeating an affirmation without conviction is like casting a fishing line with no hook. It goes out but brings nothing back. When you speak, "My supply is unlimited," you must say it with such inner knowing, such joy, that your whole body resonates with the truth of it. Then the energy is set in motion. Then the word becomes flesh. Then the shift begins. Florence also taught the importance of canceling words spoken in error. If you catch yourself saying something negative about your finances, your future, or your worth, you can immediately declare, "I cast that burden to the Christ within, and I speak the truth. I am abundantly provided for." This act of correction is not about guilt or perfection. It is about spiritual responsibility. You are the gatekeeper of your own frequency. If a negative word slips out, it can be neutralized by a stronger truth. That is the beauty of divine grace. It gives you the power to override lower vibrations with higher ones at any moment. Speaking divine truth is also an act of mental discipline. The mind is trained to focus on what's missing, what's broken, what's wrong. But when you consciously speak words of abundance, even in the midst of lack, you are retraining your mind to see what's possible. You are building new neural pathways. You are practicing faith in action. When your bank account is low, but you still say, "God is my instant and endless supply," you are not being delusional. You are being faithful. You are choosing to speak from spiritual truth, not material evidence, and that choice opens doors. Florence's teachings remind us that you don't have to wait for wealth to appear before you speak as if it's already yours. In fact, you must speak it before you see it. That is how manifestation works. You declare it first, you affirm it, you align with it. Then, the outer world catches up. When you speak wealth with authority, the universe rearranges itself to match your vibration. You may be surprised by sudden checks, unexpected clients, or divine ideas, but none of it is random. It is a direct response to your consistent, empowered, faith-filled speech. This is why silence can be dangerous when facing financial challenges. If you don't speak, your fears will speak for you. Your doubts will grow louder. Your subconscious programming will run wild. But when you open your mouth and speak truth over your situation, you reclaim power. You shift the energy. You break the spell of lack. You become a co-creator with the divine, not a victim of circumstance. There is also a sacredness to spoken words. When you declare something out loud, you bring it from the unseen to the seen. You pull it from thought into form. That's why speaking affirmations in the mirror, speaking while walking, or even writing and reading them aloud are so effective. They engage the whole self, mind, body, spirit, and anchor the truth in your being. Every time you say, "Wealth is my divine birthright," you are not only reminding yourself of truth, you are broadcasting that truth into the energetic field around you, where it begins to attract experiences, people, and resources aligned with it. In Florence's framework, the word is law. What you decree becomes your experience. This is not a mystical fantasy, it is spiritual law in action. The moment you understand that your tongue is the pen of a ready writer, you become cautious, intentional, and bold in what you allow yourself to say. You begin to speak only those things you wish to see. You stop rehearsing pain and start proclaiming peace. You stop reporting lack and start declaring abundance. And as you do, you step into alignment with the wealth that is already yours in the divine mind. Your words are not random. They are not powerless. They are the tools of creation. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that when you align your speech with spiritual law, you become unstoppable. Wealth begins to move toward you, not because you forced it, but because you spoke the frequency of it with conviction, clarity, and faith. Every sentence becomes a seed, every declaration becomes a design, and every truth you speak brings you closer to the life of abundance you were always meant to live. Speak with authority. Speak with joy. Speak with gratitude, because the universe is always listening, and it responds in kind.